This is the first visit of a Chinese premier to Australia since 2017. What are we expecting to come out of it?
I think as someone famously said, most of diplomacy is about showing up, and this is largely about showing up. I don't think there's going to be a lot of ground given on either side. Positives on the Australian side, we're hoping that the last remaining Chinese trade restrictions on lobster and crayfish get removed. There's also a lot of focus on a couple of pandas that due to return to China and whether they'll stay on or be replaced. That seems to be a big focus on the Australian side. On the Chinese side, there's a hope that we'll be more open to Chinese investments in strategic minerals such as lithium. But again, I don't think there's a lot of hope on that front.
Trade is set to dominate the meetings between Albanese and Lee, but in recent years, Australia has been strengthening defense ties with the United States. So, how likely is this to put a strain on the relationship?
Yeah, I think China largely accepts this is how the alliance system works. We're in a military alliance with the US. We have been for a long time. And China, I think, long ago accepted that, this is just the way things are done. And I think on both sides, the buzzword is stabilization. So to stabilize the relationship, which got extremely rocky from about 2017 onwards.
And why have relations improved since that rock bottom time when China imposed trade tariffs on Australia because it called for an independent investigation into the origins of COVID?
Yeah, I think things have improved since the new Labor government came to power. But in some ways, the arrival of a new government gave China an excuse to do what I think it had wanted to do for some time, largely for domestic reasons, as is always the case with China. Economically, they didn't get the bounce back from COVID that they were hoping for. And so having a compromised trade relationship with, an important partner like Australia wasn't really in its own national interests. And nor was it really in its interest to have what it sees as a close ally of the United States. And having, in the case of Australia, quite legitimate trade grievances, many of which were going to be ruled on by the World Trade Organization. So that in itself would have been a bad look and explains why many of these sanctions have been dropped.